Steady your impulses. Don't be bounced around, but submit every impulse to the claims of justice and protect your clear conviction in every appearance. Marcus Aurelius.
Steady your impulses. The ancient wisdom of emotional regulation. In the theater of everyday life, we encounter those whose existence resembles a pendulum in perpetual motion. Not individuals suffering from clinical conditions, but those whose lives and choices exist in a state of disorder. These souls experience existence as a series of extremes. Soaring euphoria followed by crushing despair, with each day categorized as either magnificent or unbearable. Their emotional volatility exhausts not only themselves but those around them, creating a wake of turbulence that disturbs the waters of communal peace. The ancient Stoics recognized this human tendency toward emotional reactivity and offered a profound solution that resonates across millennia. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher Roman emperor, articulated this wisdom in his recommendation that we evaluate each impulse through the lens of justice before allowing it expression. This approach to life isn't about emotional suppression but rather emotional governance, a practice that requires both self-awareness and self-discipline. The Stoic tradition provides us with a tripartite filter through which we may sift our impulses: justice, reason, and philosophy. Justice asks us to consider what is fair and right. Reason demands logical assessment rather than emotional reaction. Philosophy guides us with timeless wisdom cultivated through centuries of human experience. As Epictetus counseled, make it your study to respond to every impression with, "This is just an impression and not at all what it appears to be." This deliberate cognitive processing creates space between stimulus and response, the sacred interval where freedom resides. The task of governing our impulses bears resemblance to the training of a spirited dog. Just as an untrained canine follows every instinct without discrimination, the untrained mind reacts to each stimulus without reflection. The work of the philosophical practitioner is to bring these impulses to heel through consistent discipline and mindful attention. In the words of Seneca, the greatest remedy for anger is delay, highlighting how a moment's pause can prevent a lifetime of regret. This philosophical approach invites us to pose two fundamental questions when confronted with emotional triggers. Who is in control here? And what principles are guiding me? The first question encourages metacognition, the awareness of our own thought processes, while the second reconnects us with our core values and ethical foundations. As Socrates wisely noted, the unexamined life is not worth living. It is through examination that we reclaim sovereignty over our responses rather than remaining captive to our reactions. The Buddha offered complementary wisdom when he taught that, "You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger." This insight illuminates how emotional reactivity ultimately harms the reactive individual more than anyone else. Similarly, the 13th century poet Rumi observed that, "The wound is the place where the light enters you," suggesting that our emotional challenges offer pathways to greater wisdom when approached mindfully. Immanuel Kant's concept of the categorical imperative aligns with the Stoic emphasis on principled action, encouraging us to act according to maxims that could become universal law. Whereas René Descartes sought certainty through rational doubt, challenging us to question our immediate perceptions before accepting them as truth. These philosophical traditions, though separated by centuries and cultures, converge on the central importance of thoughtful discernment over impulsive reaction. In contemporary language, this ancient practice mirrors what we now call emotional intelligence, the capacity to recognize and manage emotional states while responding thoughtfully rather than reactively. The wise approach does not involve being bounced around by external circumstances but rather processing feelings through a rational framework before expressing them. As Confucius taught, when anger rises, think of the consequences. This simple yet profound advice encapsulates the essence of emotional wisdom. The contrast between control and chaos becomes evident when we observe those who master this practice versus those who remain at the mercy of every emotional wind. Those who filter impulses through deliberate processing create lives characterized by consistency, integrity, and inner peace. They experience the full spectrum of human emotion without being tyrannized by it. As Paulo Coelho wrote, "You are what you believe yourself to be," highlighting how our self-perception shapes our response to life's challenges. This practice does not demand emotional suppression but rather emotional intelligence, the art of feeling deeply while responding wisely. It represents the middle path between emotional reactivity and emotional repression. Guru Nanak, founder of Sikhism, expressed a similar sentiment. Realization of truth is higher than all else, but higher still is truthful living. The ultimate test of wisdom is not in intellectual understanding but in lived application. The ancient wisdom of impulse regulation offers a timeless remedy for the modern malady of emotional reactivity. By training ourselves to pause and evaluate before responding, we cultivate inner sovereignty and outer harmony. We learn to be responsive rather than reactive, intentional rather than impulsive. In doing so, we honor Aurelius's counsel to protect our clear conviction in every appearance, maintaining integrity of character regardless of external circumstances. This practice does not promise a life without challenges, but it offers something perhaps more valuable: the wisdom to meet those challenges with steadiness, clarity, and grace.